It's magic on Chicago, but the Bolts have a few tricks of their own.
Hunters are to blame.
Okay, Reverend, why don't you, to start, why don't you tell me your full name and,
My name is Walter B. Houston, and the B, they never did tell me what it was for. I was born September 21, 1907, in Tyler, Smith County.
what were your names of your parents?
Me pardon?
What were the names of your parents?
My daddy was named Alexander Houston. My mother was named Adonia Mims Houston.
Mm. Did you have any brothers or sisters?
One brother. He's still alive. One brother, I lost him when he was about 9 months old. My brother lived in San Francisco, California.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 8 years older than he is.
That's a long way from Tyler.
Oh, yeah.
Now, could you tell me a little bit about the parts of different areas of town you lived in, and what schools you went to?
Well, I lived in the north part of town. From here, we got a community north of here called Jones Valley. And that's where I was raised mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And from there to North Tyler. We didn't live nowhere, we haven't lived nowhere else. Only about a year we spent in Dallas, 1915, 16. And we've been living here in Tyler all my life.
Except for that 1 year.
Uh-huh. Yep. And I remember Tyler when it was about 10,000.
I think it's about 80 now.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Even when we had trolley cars back when I was a little boy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Were they electric?
Oh, they did electric.
Yeah, they had electric.
And the fare was 5 cents. Yeah. And I was under 12. I could go for half fare, so I'd go to town and back for a nickel.
So you were coming in from this Jones Valley to visit town, going to town?
Oh, yeah. Most of it was walking, riding a horse or a wagon. Didn't have a horse or wagon or buggy, you had to walk.
Yeah.
3 miles was nothing to walk. Yeah, we'd do that in a little while.
Yeah, it's not bad. Now, what was your parents' occupation?
Well, my father, when I was small, he worked at Cotton Belt Railroad shop. That was the biggest job here. Cotton Belt had a big shop here.
Mm-hmm.
It had made their own boilers. That's back when it was steam heat. He's a boiler maker helper. And then
Well, I have to ask, was he in the union? Did they have a union then for the Boilermakers?
Wasn't no union then. Yeah. That union came in way down the line. Yeah, they had a union that came in, they had a strike here once. That was, I guess that was in the 20s. I guess it was somewhere around the 20s. Other than that, my mother's people was farmers. They owned their own farm out there in Jones Valley. Land's out there now. We inherited it.
How much acreage?
see, we did.
No.
This my grandfather had about, I think about 60 acres, I believe they had out there. Yeah. My great grandfather, his name for him and his brother, they had over 100 acres.
What'd they grow?
With the cotton, corn, vegetables.
My understanding was cotton more prevalent
Cotton was king.
in here in East Texas, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
What was the main thing you think that drove it? I understand most of it's produced in West Texas now. In Central, I know around Waco a little bit.
Well, see,
What caused the change, do you think?
that land is different from this sand land.
Yeah.
Black land is always strong. It grew better cotton. And we had to do a lot of fertilizing here. Some didn't fertilize. But the cotton didn't grow like it did out in West Texas. And then we had this East Texas was kind of a vegetable growing part of the country because it had this kind of sand for it, the land for it, you know. Tomatoes, sweet potatoes, you know, all that kind of stuff. And they ship it. And so vegetables and whatnot. Everything they got in corn. They had their own meals. You know, every community about had a meal for a grist mill that made meal.
Mm-hmm.
Take that corn and grind it up and make a meal out of it.
Tell me a little. I'm gonna just check my focus here, cause make sure we're doing good. Did you or your folks or your brothers or sisters or any of your wife's family have much to do with the cotton industry back then?
Cotton industry?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was our main living,
Yeah.
raising cotton. Yeah. And we raised it by the bale and had cotton gins, compresses to press the cotton bales, make them smaller, and oil mill to grind up the cotton seed and make oil out of them, and all that kind of stuff. We had that here in Tyler. Ice factory to make the ice, and there wasn't no refrigeration, you know. The folks in the country didn't get no ice no how until they would come to town and bought it. You go out and buy a block of ice and wrap it up with paper and sack and bag and my moving do it. Do I have to stay in one position?
Yeah. Okay. Let's backtrack a little though. Let's go back and tell me about the gins and all the other machinery that was here in Tyler.
Well, we had cotton gins then, and they all the boilers was done by steam. You know, you had the wood that made steam. You know, to make the machinery work. Then the cotton gin, they got through with your cotton, ginned it and baled it. It was a great big bale. Then they ship it. They had a compress, and they press that bale about third of the size, and so they could ship it on train, ship it on box cars, you know. And that's the way we did it. Then they take the seed out of the cotton, carry it to the compress, or carry it to the oil mill, and they would run it and grind it up, make cotton seed meal for cattle and for fertilizer, and take the oil, make cotton seed oil. And see, most of the folks then used hog lard made from pork.
Mm-hmm. Instead of the cottonseed oil.
And then some of them use cottonseed fine. They condense that cottonseed meal, cottonseed oil, into a oil that you cook with.
When the cotton industry wound down, do you remember what it was like about then?
Oh yes, it was kind of tough. Got to the place that the price of cotton was so low till folks couldn't hardly grow it, and then sometimes the weather and insects. See, the insects were so bad. We had a boll weevil. By the time the bolls get on the cotton, that weevil would destroy that boll. Then we had after that. Then we had worms and army worms, we call them. They go through the country and strip the cotton. They eat all the leaves and everything off. They had a fertilizer, but sometimes not fertilizer, poison, but sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. Yeah. And so people had to resort to something else. Some of the farmers were raising. Then we had the tomato industry, and green wrap, and that worked for a while, and it played out. The farmers in this part of the country had a hard time then trying to find something they could live on, make a living on. Then they began to raise cattle. And East Texas mostly turned to cattle raising and roses in our county.
Is the rose industry still fairly good?
Rose industry has been a big thing here. Yeah.
Now, have you were growing up, how much schooling did you get?
Well, I wasn't able. I was in high school. I wasn't able to finish high school. So I had one brother, and he was younger than me. My mother took sick, and I had to get out and try to work and help support the family. So my education come down to school, and I just picked up from then on. Yeah, I wasn't able to stay at school. It hurt me too. But I said if I ever got a family, I was going to try to put them all through. So the Lord blessed me to do that. I think all my children went to college. 7 of them, I think, finished college. Out of 10.
Wow. I didn't realize you had that many kids.
5 boys and 5 good. All of them living.
Good. Did they, how did you, do you have, I understand you've had your own church here for, you've had your own church here for.
Own what?
Your own church.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I organized a church. 1930. My church now is 1 block from where I started. Yeah, it started. I didn't have no members. I didn't have no building. I had the sky was my roof, my ceiling, and the earth was my floor. I had to get some. I got apple boxes and things and plank across them and sit down there and I took the posters and dug holes and put on posters and got some soda water bottles at that time, filled them up with kerosene oil, and got me some rags and what that made wicks, twist them down in there and set it on fire. Come on in.
Open.
And set it on fire. And that's where my lights were.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Hey.
We had an interview here Brother Lemon, the man had me an interview. Had me an interview.
What you say?
The man is getting me an interview here with all this stuff here.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
County,
Now what's your problem?
Well, I just would have come to tell you, I got the place cleaned up down there. I got the store stuff laid down there. And I got all that old iron, all that old stuff they cut up on that old car. I could get, was light enough to tote down the road. I just cleaned all that junk up.
All right.
And they got some old half bid messes in there. I have to take him to the dump ground.
Yeah.
And I don't know when I have to go back now, 'cause I got so many yards to cut, till I won't get to go do it this week, 'cause I got 2 yards. I done cut 2 today and got 2 more for tomorrow and 1 for Friday. And just every day I get, I go down there and just take them over the mess and things and take them to the dump ground.
You don't know whether that girl moved or not, do you?
But
Do you know whether that woman moved or not?
yeah, there's somebody in there, the other part, I believe.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, I see the trash can.
How much time you got?
I talked with him, he may just take that trail and get that thing.
Well, all right, find out where you can or not.
Yeah, I'll find out for you.
You want me to pay you now or tell you when you get through?
Well, it'll be next week or before I can go back. And I just come by to tell you the masters and things, I have to get that, one day next week, or I take it to the dump ground.
All right. Well, how much owe you now?
Well, just 30 for cutting it, just like you been saying.
All right.
I'm fixing to go over to Miller and get some new blades to go on my tractor. I done about wore them other that. How you?
Oh, fair. How you doing?
Oh, pretty good. I was a little tired.
Yes.
Here's his too. All right. And,
That's okay then. Well, I didn't know you was busy, and I just thought I'd stop.
well, all right. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
Okay.
You can get in your chair with that anyway. You can sit in your chair and you get ready.
Can I ask you to turn the sound down on that? Because it's going to
Yeah.
as we talk.
He
Keep it on.
he got to have that off till he get through this interview.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to put it off.
I'll cut off.
Come on, Bill, and cut it off. Oh, you can cut off that thing. If you cut off, come on, cut off. Y'all.
I done cut off.
We're rolling. Well, tell me a little about your congregation when you started it. How did you get people to come to your church?
Well, I just started singing and praying and preaching. And they came. And from there we moved out just little by little. And it's where we are now.
Where is that located?
Right here on the corner of Palace.
I'm sorry. I keep doing things to distract you. Okay.
Right here on the corner of Palace and Nutbush.
Mm-hmm.
Right on the corner there.
What's the name of the church?
Houston Temple. You might have come by it.
Might have to do that.
Which way did you come?
Well, I kind of took the main route. I ended up coming from way over, followed Martin Luther King around.
Yeah, my church is there on Palace.
What's the address, the street address of the church on Palace?
Big one,
What's the street address?
1815 North Palace.
Okay. What were you doing to support yourself prior to getting your church off the ground?
Well, working wherever I could find something to do. Wasn't nothing particular. That was back in the Depression, and you couldn't find nothing all to do. And when you find something to do, it's 10 cents an hour.
Yeah, you're lucky to get that.
Yeah. Men working all day for 75 cents,
You want this?
10 hours.
Can I cut this fan on? It's hot in here.
Oh yeah, go ahead. It's not a problem.
What you say?
Turn on the fan. Yeah, that'd be welcome.
Open the back door one.
You want me to get it?
Yes,
This one here. You need to plug it in here.
Oh, you know not to sit on. You know not to sit on there. You couldn't ought to get up while ago. You want to sit over here.
Yeah.
Show him how to open that door.
I can't get back. He's moving the fan.
Just turn them there and pull the door open.
Sir, you don't mind if you just open that door, that's all we need.
Oh no, that's not a problem.
Thank you. Maybe just like
Yeah, that'll help. Kitty out here.
Yes, sir, they stays out there. On some need.
I did I learned I was a brick mason helper. From that I learned how to lay brick, and then I learned how to do a little carpenter work, and then finally I learned how to hang canvas and paper. That was the main interior job then for building houses.
Oh, okay. So that afforded you a little more income.
Yeah, that's all. And if I could pick up anything, whatever I could pick up, common work, we could do it. Yeah. I never could hardly get a easy job. Other than that, I was work construction.
I know how that can go. How did you? How were you able to? Overcome some of the problems in living in East Texas. Is that what brought you maybe to the call?
No, I don't know what brought me there. I'd already been in church ever since I was a boy. I had a divine calling, and I accepted the call. I didn't want it, because preachers had a hard time back then. But I had an urge and someone inside of me just pushing me. So I went on into it by faith. No Sarah, nothing, just going into it. And he's blessed. Took some time, but he's blessed. The Lord blessed me. His grace, we made it up to now.
You're very fortunate.
Yeah, and he opened the doors for my family. Never did go hungry. Had always had food on the table. Had food enough to help somebody else. Somebody visiting you there all the time. You're hungry, children, other folks. The Lord just supplied it somehow.
Let me ask you just how you recall some of the changes in town. For example, what was a common what people like to do? People listen to the radio a lot. They come into town for movies.
Big fun.
what do people do then to entertain themselves? Do they go watch movies, radio?
Wasn't no radio and TV back in those days. You know, that was a late thing. The radio will come in late,
You behind time. You behind
and
time.
see when one person get a radio in the community, nobody else had one. They'd go and listen to, get out in the yard or somewhere and listen to theirs. Yeah, that's the way we do it. If we'd have a fight was on or whatnot, nobody had none but one person. Everybody around that area would go and listen to the fight. We had one radio. Time was tight. Very few folks could buy it radio.
Is this bothering you?
Not at all. It feels good. I'm just checking this. Well, they certainly didn't have radio. It did come in late, commercial radio. But there was, a lot of people don't know this, but there was a very big fight in the early 20s about the nature of broadcasting. And there was big, I probably shouldn't even be recording myself saying this, but I'll say it anyway. There was a real issue whether the airwaves should be public for the public good or turned over to commercial private interests, and this was a very fierce, legitimate debate. And well, you know who won. So. We still have some good stuff, but
We had
about movies.
we had a segregation, blacks and the whites. You went to a white theater. You sit way up in the attic, up in the balcony, if you was allowed it at all. So the black man generally we had black theater.
Where was that?
Operating black theater. Yeah.
Where was that?
Picture show, we call them.
Where was that, he said?
Where was that?
Yeah.
I was here.
What was the name of the place?
No, they said we had, the black folks had theater, had them a picture show just like the whites. It wasn't that good, of course. If you allowed into the whites, you had to go and sit in the back, sitting way up, somewhere out the way. So the blacks built them, had them a theater. So nothing went with blacks went to the black one and the white went to the white one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Were I suppose they're all different, but was some of them air conditioned?
Air conditioning. Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had air conditioning.
I'm talking about in those. He talking about those days. He talking about back yonder. No, that all the air you got was blowing out there. You fan yourself.
How
And
far back yonder?
some business. When he's interviewing me, and see, generally, houses open. We had air conditioning all the year.
Mm-hmm.
Air coming through the floor and to the side, through the wall. So the building, sometimes the building they had a fan. When they finally got electricity, and they had some building with fans. Other than that, you do the fanning with your hand. Yes, sir. Man, everybody's sweating in. And just see, cause after May to October, it was hot down here.
Yeah, I know. I moved here about 2.5 years ago. My first summer here, I worked for a year with KETK, shooting news. Remember 2 summers ago, we had about 23 days over 100 degrees.
Well,
Carry a rig like this is about 50 pounds.
Where were you? In Tyler?
You bet.
Oh yeah, man,
The
it was
news.
here. It good.
And I remember the day it started. Brian Houston, he's on TV there. He was an anchor. He was coming in, and I was trying to not think about it. And he goes, "Oh man, it's hot." wish you wouldn't have said that. And from that day, we had 23 days over 100 degrees.
That's right.
I had never been in Texas before.
Oh Lord,
Already
how did you make it?
kept my mind on my work. Drank a lot of water, I guess. No, that was it. Is if you think about your work, it kind of helps you keep your mind off the heat.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit of a trial. That's why sometimes I ask about in the movies. I know that was one of the big tricks to get people in is they figured out how to do air conditioning. I was wondering if you remembered somewhere in there when they started.
Oh yeah. You know, sometimes our preachers come in and run revival. And in August, we had a theater right down the street there. And they'd go down there and buy them a ticket and go and get them a pillow and go down and go to sleep, wake up, sleeping in the cool. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You have sisters?
We've come a long ways.
My brother.
He's recording everything that we say.
That's all right.
Yeah, all right.
Oh, you
You know,
have?
we can edit it.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a brother, and I'm leaving tomorrow to see my father. He's 73. They all still live in Denver.
My oldest child is 70. He's 73 in July.
Wow.
Yeah.
Some longevity in the family.
Yes, sir.
Well, tell me a little. One of the reasons I wanted to talk with you is I've interviewed, I think it's about 4 or 5 white people who lived around here for a long time. But whenever I try and talk about how did you make the transition, if it's still happening, in the civil rights era, how did you break down some of the barriers? None of them wanted to talk about it.
No, very few folks want to bother to talk about that.
No.
But we didn't have no routes in our area when integration came. It changed pretty smoothly. We may have a little skirmishes. Nothing major. It down here it moved over pretty smooth.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
home's in Nacogdoches.
Oh yes, I've been there.
And it went out pretty nice. Generally, in the white community, if a black, see, the black couldn't buy in their community, but when the integration came in, the blacks started buying in one community. The white folks put a sign up there. They sold out and moved.
Well, I got a house in Nacogdoches.
Yeah. So
I'll tell you something real. Everything's all right. Okay.
yeah, everything. It wasn't like on a pillar, but it wasn't no. Oh, thank God, there wasn't no routes and whatnot. There was in some places. Yeah, we just made an adjustment according to the law. We tried to change it. That change the law don't try and change a man's heart, you know. What's in a man's heart is there. A law won't change it. It take the word of God and the power of the Holy Ghost to change a man's mind, you know. So, but people was abiding by the law. We didn't have no Ku Klux fighting and whatnot here. Everything went pretty smooth.
Well,
We did a school. They built a whole lot of nice schools, and said separate but equal. But that didn't pass. So they had to integrate the school. Yeah. And public places, black folk couldn't go. They opened up. one thing about it, the white folk found out how much money they was losing.
Well, that always helps to change a person's mind.
Because we was in Tennessee one year, you couldn't go to no white cafes with not about 20,000 folk. And so finally the law passed where the black folk could go to white cafes, and they got together and said, Lord, we've been stupid for years and years. Look at the money we lost.
I got a house in Nacogdoches now.
Yeah,
Mine. Eddie Davis.
yeah. And so that's one
I'm
thing.
going to set you up for another interview.
That's one thing have changed it. Yes, sir.
How did people did they use buses to integrate?
Because
Did they use the buses to integrate the schools?
use what?
The school buses.
Oh yeah. See, they had the buses one time, but see, they had to change them.
Mm-hmm.
They're separate but equal. But then they had to change and just put buses. They put some old buses and put them going different places. And everything been working out pretty nice. We're not where we ought to be. But we're a long way to where we have been. You know,
Well, I just it just seems like it must have been must be very difficult for some of the older white people here. I mean, they still haven't accepted
that's right.
they haven't accepted the right thing yet.
Well,
My feeling when I talk with them is that's why they didn't want to talk about it.
well, see, the heart haven't been changed yet. That's it. The heart change is different. Yes, sir.
My home's in Nacogdoches.
Yeah, he told me.
Campbell's. He was the principal.
Mm-hmm.
Those were colored folks.
Yeah.
There was a big bunch of colored people.
Yeah. Isn't there a Campbell family
Campbell
Here.
family. Here,
here in Tyler?
it is.
That's what I thought.
It's Willie Blaze.
I knew her.
Yes.
Now, I don't know what more to ask you about that. I'll just tell you, I'm not doing a very.
Go into a white place, you had to go through the back door and eat in the kitchen. Yes. My brother was a chef, in a place downtown. And that's where if anybody wanted to eat there, they had to go in the back, black. But he was the chef, and got to be almost the manager, got to be the manager of the thing. And some whites were so prejudiced when they'd come in and see him, they'd walk out. That's something else. That's tough. But that was the way of life in those days, in this country.
Nacogdoches is my home.
Yeah.
And I love that home. And I really have a house down there.
You see these streets that you're driving on? I helped put them down.
Which ones?
Most all of them.
The brick ones?
I helped the bricklayer. I was a young fella then.
Really?
The bricklayer was one. He didn't have about one or two. Had a black man there. He was so fast, he didn't hardly have but one. He could carry 7 brick across the street in this matter of minutes.
So were you a hod carrier?
It wasn't no hard. He had a conveyor.
Oh, okay.
So them bricks.
That's good.
See, them bricks weighed 8 pounds. Took 4 of us young men to supply this brick cellar with the brick to go on across them street.
How long did that project go on?
It lasted about 2 years.
It got hot.
Yeah, it wasn't nothing modern. Everything done by hand. Plowed the ground by mule. Graded up the street. They had an old grader. And then graded. Then you had Fresnos that would scoop up the dirt, and had slips that would scoop up the dirt. After you ply it up, you know, then move it here and there. Then when you got it down the grade, we'd eyeball it with our eyes, put on grade.
Mm.
Yeah. Yes, we had a stationary mixer down at the old railroad station. And I met two men out here filling up like a pan and had a motor to pull it up and dump it into the hopper. And you had a big platform up there. And the helpers had to take 100-pound sack of cement wide open. It was cloth bags. And you put the top on it, and you put a wire around the top. And you had to unscrew that wire.
Mm-hmm. You're fine.
And then you had to go down there and pick that sack up from the bottom with it open. An open sack. And you had to pick it up without wasting it. And put it, raise it about this high and pour it into the hopper. That's the way we had to do it. Then when they got
How much did the sacks weigh?
when they got through mixing it, then had some little, they just had made them. I had a little short bed teacups. And it had a rod in the middle to hold the beds. It had a hook up there so you could hook it up and it come up, you know how it spread it? They give it a running start. The man in the cab, when you got to the place, he start maybe over here, just for it to stop, open it up over here, so when you get it out on here, it start to spread it out. And he come up and he spit it out. Then we had to take rakes and rake it down to the grade.
But it worked?
All them streets is there, ain't been there since 1925. Yes, sir. Well, see, we put the bricks down. You put an inch of sand on top of the bricks. No, inch of sand on top of the concrete. Put 4 inches of concrete under them. It's 4 inches of concrete under them bricks. An inch of sand, then the bricks. Then you took hot tar and went down through the cracks. Stationary them.
And 4 inches of cement?
No cement.
Oh, okay.
Hot tar.
So go run through it again, then you got your bricks.
It's pretty. You put it on down the joints.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that hot tar to go down there and glue them together. They stayed together too. 25, ever since 1925. Everything
Well,
was.
when it rains, that tar is what's bringing the oil out. You gotta watch it on those streets.
You can't
Slide around.
It can't get in there.
I happen to know.
That's right. Well, Broadway didn't come no further than Bow Street north. Right at the end of Broadway, where Bow Street come across there, there's one of the old father of the city houses up there named Horace Roden. Had a great big old house right in the center of Broadway. The courthouse was right in the center of Broadway. And the bell, there was a bell on it and a big clock. He could stand up on it. Had a 2-story house. He could stand on the porch and see what time it was downtown. And that clock would ring so loud you could hear it out here. This was Cam Day.
On the hour?
On the hour.
So someone had a house there, though?
Right in the middle of the Colwell, not Colwell, right there on Broadway, the big house there on Broadway. It was deeded to the city for museum. You know the big museum coming out Broadway, coming out the old Broadway to the left.
Well, that's the old Carnegie Library, right?
Yeah, pardon?
That's the Carnegie Library, right?
No, I'm talking about that big house as you leave the square.
Oh, yeah.
Well, see, all of that was one man home and yard. He had one from Bulldog to Broadway. He had yard men to keep the yard, women to keep the house, and cooks. Oh, okay. How come I can't call it? It's a museum now.
Is that the McClendons?
That big old white house right behind that church. Right as you come up from the underpass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what the place I'm talking about. But them the city days, them the ones that own the wealthy fellas. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, how did, I happened to be on hand when they finally finished that underpass, put Broadway all the way through. What can you tell me about that?
Well,
Does that mean anything?
what beg your pardon? The underpass?
The fact that they created the underpass and extended Broadway all the way through.
Oh yeah, that meant a whole lot.
Tell me about it.
After the seniors died, the children sold the place, but the city then could go, went on through. See, cause we left Broadway and went down half a block to College Street. From Bull Street out this way, it was College Street. But they renamed it and all made it Broadway straight through. That was an asset to the city and it was safety for folks getting out of town.
Do you know where Nacogdoches is?
I've been there.
That's
Pretty.
my home.
It's pretty.
Sure is. I got a house there.
How often do you get there?
How far is it about from here to Nacogdoches, really?
It's at least an hour.
It's 75 miles.
That's what I was finna say, 75. It's about 75.
Well, now, do you have any special traditions in your own family? Do you have reunions every once in a while, or anything special?
For the future?
So do you have any communions? We have
Well, let me understand you good. What you say now?
Do you have any, your family here, do you guys get together all one time?
Oh yeah, we have a reunion.
A reunion.
This is not my home.
Right.
My home's in Nacogdoches.
You told him that. You told him that. Yes, we have family reunions and family gathering, and my children sometimes big holidays and whatnot. Sometimes they come together, but the whole day we generally have a family reunion. The whole way back on up, and then the folks all over the country come in on the certain names.
Would that be here?
Being taller. Sometimes we'd have it at a hotel and whatnot. 2 or 3 days.
What was City Park like at that time?
Wasn't no parks.
Well, there is a city park, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so we didn't have, way back there. There wasn't no city park.
About up to date.
You talking about up now? Talking about city parks now?
No, back when you were.
Oh, back there?
coming
Oh
up.
no, we didn't have a park. Then when we did have one, wasn't no black. They had a white one first. Then we had to fight for that second one.
Where was the first one, the white one?
Let me see, what was the white one? Where was the white one? The white one, was it over at Forest? I believe it was Forest. I believe that Forest was the first one. Then finally, one of those city dads give 20 some odd acres over here for Woodard's Park. Oh man, Woodard gave it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they built the park over there for the black folks before integration. Yeah.
Our principal sister, Miss Willie Glaze,
Hmm?
she taught school in our
Hmm?
campus. Willie Glaze,
Yeah.
she taught school in our campus.
Well, tell me a little more about the. Uh, what is it? Is it the what family is Mayor Eltai from? They're Lebanese, right?
Beg pardon?
Eltai and Negim. They're Lebanese, right?
I didn't know what they are.
It's,
Yeah. We got a whole lot different on this here now. I remember when you with one family, a Spanish family here in this town.
My
Yeah.
understanding is I don't know if this is true, that the town has had a couple of Jewish mayors over the years.
I've been Jews and Syrians, and they've been here for 30 years. About half the town was run by foreigners then. South Tyler and East Tyler, is on the square. Most all that was foreigners. The Chinese and what were them others? The Jews and Syrians, and they almost filled the town. And Chinese had the cafe, the better cafes. The Chinese had them down there close to the railroad station. So we had a railroad through here then,
Yeah.
about 5 or 6 trains a day.
When did they tear down the railroad station?
When will they? I think they're gonna redo it.
When did they tear down the main one though? It's
The-
gone, right?
The railroad station. It's tore down.
Do we still have one here in Tyler?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that they think they just about making something else out of it.
Oh, so it's still around.
Yeah, it's still there.
Yeah, I was thinking about the Waco. That's why I was confused.
Yeah. You thinking about overhaul it and making something else out of it, kind of like a museum.
Yeah. Hang on a second. I'm gonna fix your microphone. Like that. There we go.
That man's using something else, ain't he?
That's the best so far. Is that recording? Okay, wonder why, do you have any ideas about why the town didn't go north?
Well, no rich
Seems
folk.
like it's going south now.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know part of one of the reason, but the rich folks going back that way. Well, the wealthy folks goes south and west. The poor folks on north and east. Generally, very few millionaires live in the north part of town. And most of the industry, whatnot, are going south. You're trying to get something out north. They're doing a little bit out this way. We got a few things going for us out here.
Mm-hmm.
Then most of the north was black.
Is that changed?
It hasn't changed much. No. We have to have our meetings and whatnot, and we have to generally kind of a little fight for a whole lot of things we get.
Tell me a little about the Jenico family.
Jenico. Let's see what Jenico's a Jew. What is Jenico?
I understand they own a lot of.
Oh, they do.
property
They
around
do.
here.
I can't say I can't put no cold water on them. During the Depression, when I had all my children was here, Christmas time came. I didn't have no work. I didn't have no job, and I didn't have nothing to buy nothing for Christmas. On the Christmas Eve evening, a big limousine drove up there with a black chauffeur, and he got out and asked who lived here, and he told them. And they went back and got bushels of everything we needed for Christmas, and we didn't know who they were. They brought in, and they took care of nearly every day or two during the Christmas, they brought us something. And it was about 5 years, I guess, before I found out who they were.
How'd you find out?
Found out that was Jenico. Yeah. Well, see, the foreigners got own more stuff here, I think, than most anybody.
Yep.
Yeah. I see the Germans, they came in. One of them owned the bank. And one of the first banks, I remember. And the west side of the town, on the corner of Urban and the street just coming into the square, was a foreigner, he was Goldstein and Brown. Over there where the old post office on that corner, with the finest store in town, it was foreign, it was Martin Smith. Well, on the other side, on the south side there was Jews and Syrians and Dagoes. On the east side was the same thing. Well, the American white man didn't hardly have nothing with you.
Y'all gonna have a long day. It's after 4 o'clock.
I said, the American white man didn't have much. He didn't have much business in the city.
Right.
Then you wanted to eat, had to go through the back. They had to go to a Chinese place. And so we had the Caucasians generally had stores for the farmers, credit merchants. So they let you have enough money or whatnot to make you a crop. You had to mortgage your crop, then to mortgage your horse or mule, whatever you had to implements. All of that had to go through the mortgage. Then if you didn't make enough to pay out, they'd come out and clean. They would take everything you had. My daddy farmed one year, borrowed money to make a crop, and didn't make enough to pay it off. They come down there and clean up. You might got the peanuts. I'm talking about took everything they had made on that debt.
Well, I guess tell me a little about when the farmers bring their cotton in to sell it into the square. Do you have any recollection of that?
Bringing the cotton in the city.
To find a buyer.
Oh yeah, there's buyers all over there. Then one maybe over here a little penny more, and sometimes the prices go up today and down tomorrow. They don't regulate it like they wanted to, you know. So I raised cotton and sold it myself. If you owe a debt, they just take the whole, just write your receipt and give it to you. That's what you got. Didn't give you no. You couldn't sell your own cotton. You just carried it into the man. The man let you have the money. Yeah. Then if you had enough to pay off, then they give you what's left. Debt went first.
Yeah.
You and your wife and children might not have no clothes. But they was kind of nice. They didn't have enough on the next year's crop, and they would carry it over, let you have something for the winter, and they put it on the book for on the next year's crop. You mortgage your crop before you even planted it. Yes, sir. But we survived.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some black folks got to be pretty wealthy too.
Mm-hmm. Through farming or?
Some of them got
trade?
wealthy. Some of them got wealthy farming. Yeah. So man with 5 boys like I had back in those days, well man, he could cultivate over 100 acres of land. I'm talking about just walking plowed, not riding.
Yeah.
But when my boys came along, the cotton business run played out just about.
Well, I know I mentioned it before, but what other reasons do you think cotton just got played out here?
Mm-hmm.
What was the main reason, do you think?
Well,
Other than the soil.
one thing, the prices went down so low. The next thing, it got to the place where the insects, I said before, was so bad that they couldn't hardly survive. They had to go to something else.
Y'all getting well in the evening time. 4:15. You know?
Yeah. I like that clock. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure I've touched on everything I wanted to, but I guess my last question was, how do you see the future for your children? Where do you think things are going? Good or bad?
Well, it's hard to predict it because so many changes. When you go back to the Bible said men shall run to and fro and knowledge shall be increased. And so we just don't know what God is going to allow men to do in the future. But we look forward to the future. And we don't know the future, but we know who holds the future. See, Christ is the one who holds the future. And he let men have it by degrees. He just don't let men know it all the way. They ain't supposed to know it because they'd be like a God, you know. And so God holds the future because he knows yesterday, today, and tomorrow. But it seems like we're gonna have a little progress ahead. If men would turn to God, that thing will do all right.
Yeah.
They just want to turn to Him.
Well, for some reason that's tough for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Just a struggle. I know what I wanted to ask you. Now, the two of you, how long have you been married?
How long have we been married? This is my second wife.
Oh, okay.
This is not the mother of my children.
Oh.
We've been together. November will be 30 years. Steve with my other wife before she passed 42 years.
I've been here with him 30 years.
30? You ever thought about divorce?
No.
No, I ain't never thought about that.
Just murder, right?
And we got married. That meant we was married.
Yeah, I understand.
We haven't had no arguments or nothing like that. Not no
We
really arguments.
we differ, but we never did get to that state. She has 7 children, I think, and I had 10.
Me and mine in Houston.
You're in Houston?
All my children, I'm just here by myself, just me and him.
Well, I know how you feel. I'm here with my wife.
How
We
many?
had a few people.
how many-
Been here 3 years.
How many children you have?
We don't have any children.
Don't have any children.
That's why we're kind of, just because of the nature of,
Shame on you.
that's the nature of what I got into was, turns out if you're going to do this, you have to be nomadic. But my wife, we got here and she said, I'm not moving anymore.
She's tired of moving.
So I ain't moving anymore. I've worked at 5 different stations, 5 cities. There's people that have worked double that. So we're kind of at a hard point in our marriage right now. I don't know what the heck. I don't know what we're gonna do.
So married? How long you been married?
We got married in 1995, November 23rd, 1995.
Well, y'all been together long enough to understand each other. Your ups and downs, you have to weigh them. Give and take.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you still perform services regularly?
Oh, yeah.
When is your
Yeah,
service? Is this weekend?
I'm here on the 2nd Sunday and the 4th Sunday, right up here on the corner. I have 2 churches. I have one in Carthage.
Second, I might be able to come to your second one, 'cause I'll be out of town here.
Have you seen it up there around the corner? It's what it,
No. I'm gonna drive by
Right.
my way out.
Yeah.
But that's about it. All I have for right now, unless there's something more you want to add that we haven't talked about.
All right, all right. I guess, I hope I did your satisfaction.
Oh, it was great. It was great. And if you're interested in, I can talk with you maybe in a couple weeks. Do your interview this time.
Say what? Give me an interview?
I'll give you an interview.
A small one.
Well, I think I see this family tree and
Yeah, that's
a lot of roots there.
That's me right there. Molly Houston. W.B. Houston, that's my husband now.
Right. But look, I just
And
like
all
the way it
those-
all goes
Oh,
around.
that's my
Well, there's a
children.
whole lot of bit added since then. Lord bless me to live to see my fourth generation.
Yeah.
Grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
Yes, sir.
Well, I think I got everything you need, so